So you're thinking about starting a real estate team. You want to be a team leader. Today we're going to go over all the ins and outs of becoming that team leader, or maybe not becoming that team leader, whichever you decide. Hey, it's Mark here with the Hiller Group, brokered by eXp Realty. My team and I got you covered here along the beautiful Florida Panhandle from Pensacola all the way through Panama City. Look, being a real estate team leader requires a combination of strong leadership skills, industry knowledge, and patience. People do not realize how much patience, how much time, and how much energy goes into being a team leader. Here are some of the things that I've learned in my 3 years since starting this real estate team. You must clearly define the team goals and objectives. You have to lay it all out there. Like, we want to be number one. We want to continue to be number one in sales, right? Have we hit it every year? No, but that's what we strive for. We have to have goals out there, but my goals can't be the team's goals. You have to individually check with your agents and see what they want to do. And your job is to help them hit the goals that they set for themselves. So if I set some high standard and I got a bunch of agents on my team that only want to sell X amount of homes, but my number's up here, what do I need to do? Am I going to make them sell more homes? No, I got to get more agents. So it's this constant recruiting game if you have high enough goals and you don't have the agents that are matching their goals with your goals, because you cannot make a human being more productive. I've learned this from my mentor, John Cheplack, and it is so true. People are only gonna do what people are gonna do. People didn't get into real estate to work for Mark and work their ass off and never have time to their family. They want a combination of the two, right? Team leaders are kind of weird because we a lot of times sacrifice family time, personal time, and everything just to grow this thing, right? So you must clearly define their goals and the objectives and lay it out there for everyone to see. If you don't put it out there, it doesn't really exist. A successful team leader needs to set targets and achieve and communicate effectively to the team these targets. And what do I mean by targets? No, I don't mean goals like production goals or anything like that. I mean daily activity targets. What are they gonna do on a daily basis to make themselves more productive, right? What are they gonna do to ensure that they are doing the daily things that are gonna help them hit the goals that they want to hit? And this involves understanding the market. What do we need to shift? Do we need to pivot? Do we need to do things differently than we were doing them before? Obviously, we are sitting here at the beginning of 2024. It is not like it was in 2023. The world is different, the market is different, and so you have to be able to pivot and adjust accordingly. You must also have an open line of communication. If you don't plan on being readily available for your people will feel that. They will know that you're not there for them, right? Do I like to have some time off and kind of unplug and where I'm not readily available at all times? Of course I do. I'm human. But guess what? I make sure that somebody else is in place. I make sure somebody else is there to answer those questions. Because if you're thinking about this, becoming a team leader, remember that first contract you wrote. You remember that? If you weren't on a team, you probably felt pretty damn alone. Reaching out to the broker, feeling like you're bothering them. You don't want your agents feeling like that. You want to make sure that you're readily available to help them when it's time for them to write that first offer. So having team meetings, building team camaraderie, so maybe the agents can reach out to another agent on the team if you're not readily available or you don't have somebody in place 24/7 to back you up. And you got to make sure you're always asking for feedback. If you're not asking your people for feedback, you don't know what's working. Team leaders take on a lot of risk for their teams, and because of that, we have to hold the agents accountable. Somebody's got to be held accountable to do some of the actions with the leads in order to get the sales. So it's just kind of this vicious cycle, if you will. One of the other things you need to think about is you must continuously invest in yourself and your team as far as personal and business development goes. I've had a business coach. I had a free one when I started with my dad back in 2013. Then I moved on to a very well-known coach. Then I advanced from them to another one. Then I went to one of his coaches. I've always had a coach since I started in real estate in my corner. Somebody I could bounce ideas off of. Honestly, eXp has created an environment for me now that I have a board of directors. I have people that I can turn to and get the playbook to master the craft of team growth, team development, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But if you don't have the availability like we have at EXP, where you have a group of people that are looking out for your best interest, then you need to invest in a real estate coach, a real estate trainer, somebody who can help you and help your team. Because that's one other thing people don't think about when they get into this real estate team leader thing is like, you have to be the coach, you gotta be the accountant, you gotta be the trainer, you gotta be the onboarder. Like, there's a lot of different people in there if you wanna have effective onboarding and you wanna have effective growth in your team, right? But you must understand that this is like crucial in the development of your team. Another thing you need to think about is, do you have the right people in the right seats? Do you have that got-a-minute person? Do you have the person who's gonna help with marketing? Do you have the person who's gonna help get all the systems set up for your team? Do you have somebody who's gonna be following up and checking on lead generation and everything? Like, there's a lot that goes into a bigger team development. Now, if you're talking about starting a team of 1 to 2 people, like, I don't know, that's not really a team in my, that's more of a partnership at that point, because you're relying on them. Their split's gotta be good enough if you only got a couple people. Like, that's a completely different story. But if you're gonna grow a bigger team where you've got 7, 8, 9 plus agents, you're gonna have to have the infrastructure built, and you must be willing to take on some of the expenses and the costs that come into play early in that, because you may not make money right off the bat. Insider tip, do not get out of personal production for a while. That will hurt you. It hurt me big time. We're getting back into it, but that's another story. It is what it is. We got through it. But you must also make sure you don't take all the opportunities from your team. You need to keep some of those deals in-house. You need to keep some of those past clients, because you're gonna need to offset some of that. And especially as the market ebbs and flows, you may need more income coming from you because your agents may have a tougher time. Like right now, my agents they're not producing like we were. Imagine that. Interest rates doubled, so of course we're not producing. But you, as a team leader, must be prepared to go through all the seasons. You gotta decide whether you're gonna do transaction management in-house, or are you gonna hire that out? Are you going to get a TC that's on salary? That's the option we went with. Or is it something you're gonna farm out and pay somebody else to kind of manage your transactions so you don't have to worry about the tedious tasks? These are all things that most agents don't think about as they're wanting to be the team leader. You must develop core values. You must develop a mission statement. Your people have to know what you are for and what you're against, right? Like our core values, always be learning, willingness to adapt, keep effing going, own your shit. We've got them all. We got acronyms for them so we can hold our agents accountable to them. And did we always do a great job of doing that? No. Is it something we're refocusing on now? Absolutely. This is something we are going to hire and fire to in the future. Because if you can't, that's the easiest thing. Like either you are or you aren't. It's not me, it's you, the agent, not abiding by the core values of the team. And you gotta figure out what you're gonna stand for as far as your brand out in the community. Are you gonna work with more buyers, more sellers? You're gonna be kind of neutral across the board? Are you in a military market like we are? You have to cater to a certain demographic of buyers and sellers. You have to think about your market and what is gonna make the most sense. Like you don't wanna go like, oh, I'm gonna start a luxury real estate team and like you haven't sold $1 million home yet. Come on, be realistic. Like our average price point, we're $400,000. That's our bread and butter. Because that's our avatar client, that's who we like working with. So guess what? Our marketing and our branding needs to be focused on that demographic. I don't need to be running around acting like I'm a luxury agent when I'm not. Now, do we sell $1 million homes? Absolutely. Probably 5 or 6 a year. But are we selling 20 or 30? No, we're not. So guess what? My focus goes into the people that we are serving on a regular basis and the clients that we're serving on a regular basis. Another thing you need to think about is your daily KPIs, key performance indicators. You must be watching what's going on. If you are not watching what is going on with the daily habits of your agents, You won't be able to see around the corner. You won't be able to see some of the things that are gonna come at you that you could have easily done or seen just by paying attention. For example, number of calls logged each week by an agent. Those start to go down 2 or 3 weeks in a row. You better be checking in. You better be checking in on the personal side of that agent, because I can bet you something's going on personally and it's showing up professionally. You need to make sure you're watching every little thing, because when you start seeing normal day-to-day activity change just a little bit, there's something going on deeper. Looking back on it, every single agent that's left our team, the writing was on the wall. We just chose either not to see it, or we were going so fast we didn't have time to see it, right? We either looked the other way, or we didn't have time to stop and actually fix the problem or try to fix it before it was too late. But in all fairness, even if I would have caught it, I don't know that I would have done something. Because guess what? People are not going to stay with you forever too. That's another thing you need to think about as a team leader trying to grow a team. People will not stay with you forever. You're not that great. Put your ego aside. Industry standard, I believe, is like 3 years. If you can get an agent stay with you longer than 3 years, you've beat the odds. I haven't got there yet, full transparency. But I get it. Like, we help agents get started in their career and then they leave. They're gonna go out. They're maybe venture out to do something else. But if you have the impact on those certain ones, they're gonna stay. They're gonna stay around long enough because you've made an impact on their personal life, and they understand the value that you are providing them. And that's the other thing. You better be providing value, or those agents will be looking to exit sooner than later. Being a team leader is not for the weak. It takes guts, it takes perseverance, but I'll tell you what, it is rewarding. It's rewarding watching agents come into this industry who've never sold a house before, never been in sales, and you're able to help them make more money than they've ever made in their life. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy when an agent comes in, plugs in, throws their excuses aside, and goes after it. Why? Because that's what I did, and I like seeing those type of people come into this industry, and I'm more than happy to pour into people that are willing to bet on themselves and do the hard work on a daily basis. So all you potential team leaders out there, hope this was helpful. Have a great